What did the BBC do to me this morning on BBC Sussex? This is Katie. She was sued in this year for doing this wrong. She was fired from LBC for doing this wrong. She said this nasty thing about this fat person, and she said this terrible thing about this person. She really is the lowest form of the low. Can you even believe it? And let's welcome Katie Hopkins. At least in North Korea, they get their propaganda for free.
I just want you to know that legal action is not being taken against the party. Some colleagues and I are taking legal action against the NEC as individuals. Legal action that is aimed to get Gerard Batten onto the ballot paper, and the NEC has the right to simply change its mind, correct its mistake, put Gerard on the ballot paper, and we will then immediately withdraw the legal action.
In the past, I have always taken the view that it should be for the members to decide who leads our party. And if that delivers a donkey like Diane James or Henry Bolton, then it's down to you, not us.
However, I don't want to talk about internal things, I want to talk about external things. And the one thing about UKIP, throughout its existence, it has always been a party of courage. We need to be the truth tellers. The greatest social crime for the last 200 years, gangs of predominantly Muslim men in predominantly Labour local authorities across the North and Midlands have abused, raped, and brutalised white English underage girls. Those social services, their children's services and so on, have known this has been happening. They have not tackled it. When we start holding the Labour Party to account for what has happened to these girls. The second issue I want to raise, we've seen the extraordinary rise of the whole transgender confusion movement. A transgender movement that goes not only from the top, but is now being promoted in our primary schools. Okay, so little Johnny goes home and says, "Mummy, my teacher says I could be really a girl deep inside me." And such confusion is being put to them. Ladies and gentlemen, in my view, this is child abuse. It is nothing else but child abuse. It's known as smashing heteronormativity in our primary schools. Innocent kids that aren't even aware they're sexual beings. Our primary schools and our primary school children are not there to receive this sort of sexualizing propaganda. It is child abuse. As a party alone, we have said we will ban all sex education in primary schools.
As we speak, London is suffering one of its most violent periods in its history. From terrorism to knife crime, Sadiq Khan has overseen what can only be described as a bloodbath. What are the police doing? Marching in pride parades. They are dressed as big rainbow bumblebees. They're having their faces painted. They're wearing high heels. They're getting their nails painted. It's also our manifesto pledge to scrap the Crown Prosecution Service's guidelines on hate crimes, so that police officers can go back to tackling real crime and not offensive remarks. I'm sure you're all aware of what hate crime laws have done to public discourse, resulting in Christian preachers being arrested, a certain Scottish UKIP mad lad being taken to court for teaching his dog a naughty trick, and even a young girl arrested for quoting rap lyrics on her Instagram profile. To combat this, it is firm UKIP policy that hate speech laws and guidelines will be scrapped.
So I think this is a bit of a challenge this evening, isn't it? Coming to speak somewhere where you're banned, where UKIP are widely banned anyway, where you have a good friend in the audience who may be banned as running as leader. It's like being banned from pretty much everything. Ban, 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 ban. I wonder what they won't ban next. And it does rather surprise me, you know, that when you get called and labelled far right, and that's why you get banned, that we would want to try and seek to do that to one of our own. I think that's a very great pity indeed. And I would hate to see anybody in this room ever labelled far right by anyone, especially someone with a bad beard.
UKIP is a proud, patriotic party that loves this country, its institutions and traditions, and the part we played in civilising the world. There is absolutely no point trying to pander to the media. Axiomatically, they oppose UKIP's very reason for existing. They do not love this country. In fact, they despise it. They despise the people, the history, and the culture of Britain. They consider the country to be racist, they consider our politicians to be inadequate, and they consider our impact on world history to be shameful. An unholy alliance of self-hating Marxists, fanatical Islamists, and wealthy internationalists, combined with the moral weakness of the Conservatives, has put us in this untenable position.
But one thing is for sure. In the relatively near future, Brexit will become history. But history will not end there, and the real battle for British Britain, with absolute certainty, still lies ahead. I quote here from a speech given on the 18th of June, 1940, in the House of Commons. What General Weygand called the Battle of France is over. I expect that the Battle of Britain is about to begin. Upon this battle depends the survival of Christian civilization and our own British way of life. The words, of course, of a certain Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill. During recent decades, we've allowed well over 10 million people to come to this island in perpetuity. With their much higher birth rates, the population of this country is now probably double what it would otherwise have been. And accordingly, and wisely, our reproduction rates have been falling fast. But no, we have a population which is estimated by some retail associations at around 80 million. Don't believe the government censuses. It's the retailers that know how much toilet paper's used in a year. That's a much better count on the population than trumped up censuses. And the 2021 event will be a very interesting one because I don't know how the government is going to continue to conceal these facts from the British people. Certain minorities have little or no intention whatsoever of assimilating into the British way of life, and one in particular envisages eventually ousting indigenous British culture from this land and replacing it with their own culture, so radically alien to ours. Problem is, however, they will not remain a minority, and on present demographic extrapolations, they'll become a majority later this century. The Labour Party won't exist. In fact, it's going on the skids now. It hasn't existed as a Labour Party for many years. The Dim Libs don't stand for anything, nor have they ever. In fact, their only creed is to tolerate anything and everything on their gleeful but blind path to inevitable anarchy. Can you not see, therefore, there's going to be a truly massive void in the political landscape for a patriotic party defending Britishness, that cultural icon? If you're a patriot who wants to participate politically in the preservation of our Britishness, there's only one place to be. This party, UKIP. But those who leave us do one thing: they abandon utterly the battle for Britain. One day, in the not too distant future, large numbers of the people will be saying, UKIP, they've been right all along.